a few other films you might have sampled along the years. Marilyn Chambers.
Well, David and I met, just done a film insatiable, or a very long time ago. And he had, David always has this thing of, really sexual undertones or overtones, whatever you prefer. Yeah. And so at that time I was very popular, and he just felt, I think that he felt that he wanted to give me a chance to be a real actress. So he came to my hotel and made a proposal, and I didn't really know too much about David because he was just starting out also. So when I met him, he was just very, very low key, very soft, gentleman. Oh yeah. Yeah, we had dinner at Ivan Reitman's house, and Ivan Reitman went on to become very successful. And I always liked horror films, and I thought, this is going to be really fun. Well, one thing that I didn't know David was going to do was, first of all, the arm thing. The arm. Okay, very phallic.
What do you call that? How did he explain that?
Well, really nobody knew because they had the special effects guys. They didn't really know what they were going to do. They didn't have a clue. And it really didn't turn out as they wanted it to. It was just really kind of cheesy, kind of boring, So we kind of added to it, I think. But, it was the type of thing where, okay, this is going to be coming out from my arm. Okay. And so, when you go to do a horror film, you think, oh, please God, make it not be so bad that it's just going to be funny. And actually, the movie, when it came out, now it's a kind of a cult film, but back then it was totally canned. It was just like, oh, it's the worst movie they've ever made, and really cheesy and not good. And now, of course, years later, people say they don't like something.
A lot of David's films in that period kind of dealt with sort of sexual. Sex was a way to cast viruses and diseases. When this film, and this film before AIDS, it wasn't just diseases, it was something that was going to kill you. Right. A sexual act was going to lead to death. And
it wasn't a sexual act.
Well,
certainly
the guys who were with thought it was going to be. But I'm saying, because some people sort of describe that thing as a penis or something like that. So it was this sort of flesh was going to kill you. And I actually always thought that was kind of interesting to be almost predicted. So, all right, let me throw it up here. I don't want to take up all the time. If you have any questions, please. Right there, yeah.
It's totally unrelated.
It doesn't have to be right.
But I spent too much of the fun, first of all. Together, I think it was the first novel.
Oh, right.
How did you get to know him in that novel?
Well, I was brought up in Westport, Connecticut, and that's where Sean's from. And actually, I was dating his brother, Kevin. And it was supposed to be a documentary. And you're probably too young to know about this, but it was something called EST, E-S-T. It was kind of a type of an organization that was like, learning how to have sex and by verbally talking about it, saying different parts of the body, so you would be so you become more comfortable, etc. And it was supposedly a documentary. I mean, my name wasn't even in it, and I wasn't Marilyn Chambers. I was Marilyn Briggs at that time. So Sean and I knew each other quite well. I knew Sean since I was like 12 or 13. So he wasn't, he was just starting out as a filmmaker. And I think that Wes Craven, they had his name on it too. I don't remember him being involved in it. Steve Miner, I knew his brother too, so we're all good buddies. Wow, you? Wow, that was fun. Well, the thing about it was with Rabbit, my first film was Yellow Pussycat. I played Robert Klein's girlfriend, and that was how I got my SAG card. And so my intention was always to be involved in mainstream films, but when I did Behind the Green Door, that hadn't been done before. No one had made a full-length feature, 35mm X-rated film. So, and my intention was to use it as a stepping stone, but little did I know that it was going to create such a stigma for myself to hold me back as an actress. Unfortunately, the mainstream world has just blackballed you as far as if you've done anything X-rated. I don't really know what it is like today, but back then when you did anything X-rated and remotely X-rated, you were totally banned from doing anything further in mainstream film. So, I was known for the eroticism, and so Beyond the Sod was just very underground black market. I don't think you can get it anymore. You have a copy, but you're not the only one. But did a lot of shows with the Mitchell Brothers, and it was just, it was the time of our society to do stuff like that. That it was very chic. It was fun.
So you eventually did, you said you wanted to make it into a stepping stone. Did you think part of the reason that the reaction to Rabbit was so negative initially because it featured you, I don't mean your acting, I mean the fact that they cast someone who had made such a name for himself.
Well, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to create a controversy, which, he did. And, personally, when I said to him, okay, David, what is this character Rose like? I went to this, well, you're not supposed to know who she is. What? Basically, he wanted to be very robotic, and he didn't want the audience to know me. So I really didn't feel like I got a really good chance to act.
What else? Yeah.
Is it like working with David?
He was just great. I mean, he taught me a lot. He taught me to that smaller is better as far as when he would have like whole face shots on the screen, and one little wink was just to really tone down stuff. And then also it was very interesting at that point in history. We shot it in Montreal, and the day before we started shooting, everything was French. It became a French-speaking country, and only. And so my high school French kind of gave me handy, but not really. And so anyway, it's interesting. They gave the directions in French and then in English. And then after English, my makeup artist spoke not one word of English, and the cinematographer was French. So that was really interesting. But David is, I haven't spoken to him in a long time, just a very introspective type of a nerdy guy who was just really, very concentrated on what he wanted to do. And he was just a very, like I said, very soft-spoken type of guy. We wonder, what's really going on in his head. Yeah. So, what else? Oh, come on.